Good evening and welcome to another episode of Rugby on 216. Brought to you, of course, by Thirsty. This one with a little bit of a twist. Alex has gone to Britain to watch the British Grand Prix, leaving me and Cooks alone at home to play. And playing we are indeed. We're at the offices of King Price. We're playing a game of pool for the red cap as Cooksy has consistently gotten the better of me over the last few weeks. And for today, I'm the creative director, so I make the decisions. So we'll play for it today, Cooksy. What a privilege.
I'm just more concerned at the fact, just because Alex is gone, I don't know when you became the captain, how you became the captain. All I know, I came to work, I was told you were in charge by you. But no, Spooty, what a day. I mean, we've been praying for this time for the show, for Alex to go away.
Yeah.
You've been away because, unfortunately, you don't work after a great college rugby game. And I was at Lord's. Now, Alex, finally, the boss is away.
Sorry, you just wanted to get that in there again.
You
were at Lord's. All right, Cooksy, South Africa knows you were at Lord's.
I'm also emphasizing to the fact that South Africa knows that you don't work after a great college loss. I'm just letting them know. But Alex is away. It's nice to be here. We're playing some pool. I think the fun we have when Alex is gone.
Yeah.
Because he makes us sit down in chairs in the studio.
Yeah,
we're cooped up, there's structure. You know, like the barbers. We want to be free-flowing.
No, look, he's very methodical and he's brilliant, and I miss him, and I hope whoever he supports at the British Grand Prix today finishes last. But it's fun to be here. It's like the Google offices that we saw in the movies when we were growing up. If you've never been to the King Price offices, it's a dream world. You're apparently doing the Lego walk later on.
I got the red cap, so you got to do it. I've been holding on.
But it's Craven week time, Cooksy. Can you believe it? It's a quiet weekend that just passed. A couple of Bonda Day, like they call them, and the Independent Schools Festival currently on the go. But it's time for Craven week. Yeah.
Can't believe it's that time of the year already. You know, it's funny. We made our picks. Obviously, we'll talk about our big calls we made with Craven week. But again, best players in the country coming together, and it's exciting. You know, this week coming up is Grand Como, we've got Elson week, and it's just exciting to see the provinces come together. School stuff has been put to the side.
Yeah.
And now it's like provincial rivalries now, and probably I think one of the most exciting Craven weeks we'll have in a while. It does feel like everyone's sort of being brought a little bit closer, and it's a little bit tighter. Yes, Western Province have been ruling the roost for the last couple of years, but it's pretty. I think it's going to be a new winner, Craven.
Yeah, I think so as well. And we made that massive call when we said the Sharks. The Sharks are going to be the ones to topple Western Province. They've been grouped together as well, so they might meet each other. Chances are day 4.
That's when they meet.
In a semi-final sort of setup, it'll be province against the Sharks. But you spoke about Grand Como as well. That's on the go this week. But here's the thing: day 1, Craven week. Let me just sink the first ball here. I'm going to go for stripes and play a shocker. But
is there no pool tables in Bloom?
No, but did you not see there's something wrong here? We got to tell King Price, table's not level here, mate. We got to get one of those little Lego blocks under this. What I was referring to is that day 1 at Craven week. You know, you've got, starting us off, Western Province 15, playing the Griffins. The Griffins, they don't get a lot of attention, but they've got Bethlehem Voortrekker, they've got Witteberg, the 2 Bethlehem schools, then they've got Welkom Gymnasium, Trio, all who's had decent sides this year, and you know, sprung a couple of surprises. They went to Bloem to play the Cheetahs in a warm-up game, lost 38-32, so they were full value, and we know the depth. Although it's the sort of second 15 for Western Province, we know the depth they possess. But you can see the smile. I know you're not entirely happy about the selection process down south.
I'm not trying to be controversial, but I think you look at a side like Parkham and the fact that it's strange to me they don't have more Craven League players. The best side in the country at the moment, and we know Paul Boys ours is second, and that will be decided on the 2nd of October. Yeah. But I just think, there's some quality operators there. I felt like, for me personally, we should be in the Craven League side. There's other players that schools got more numbers, more players than Parkham has in the Craven League side. Yes, they go, maybe they're in the Western Province 15, and they're still playing Craven League. I understand that, but it's different being in the A side, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And, the coaches, I'm not fighting anyone. It's just observation. It's frustrating sometimes because you think to yourself, if you're the best school at the moment, currently in the country, you feel like we should have more than 2 or 3 players in the main Craven Week side. And, the rumors always go like, they may be system players. They do well at Parkham, but they don't do well provincially. I don't agree with that. Because my thing is, you watch someone like Henry Van Zyl, I'm like, there's not many better blindside flankers in the country, and he can't make the Craven Week side.
Is it a case, I'm playing devil's advocate here, is it a case of selectors getting together and say, guys, remember Marcus Miller last year? Went to Craven Week as part of the Western Province 15. Then because of a couple of injuries, ended up playing in the main game for the main side, but made the SA school side out of the 15, theoretically then. So is it a case of going, all right, we've got 2 sides. We believe this is the better side, but if it isn't, it's all right. Because the guys are still getting a go at Craven Week. Or do you think
I think it's pretty like with Western Province it's still Western Province XV.
Yes.
You're not.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes, you're both the Craven Week side. Again, it's like you make SA schools, make SAA. There is that slight difference.
No, for sure.
So obviously the depth that Western Province has, is incredible. We're talking about they've got the 2 best schools in the country at the moment in Paul Boys and Parkham. But I just think, if I'm the best school in the country going into Craven Week, I just feel like I need more. Like I should not. There can't be two or three other schools who've got more players in the Craven Week side more than we have.
I'm in agreement with you. I'm actually 100% in agreement with you. I feel for the Parkham players. I feel for the Parkham structure. I think they deserve more players in the Craven Week side, but we're not the selectors. We weren't at trials.
We just guys in the studio.
Yeah, we just guys sitting in a studio playing some pool. I do feel you're neglecting this game though, because you're scared of losing the red cap.
I think there. I think stripes is exactly what I need to be.
Yeah, that's the way I know. You're always going for the easy shots, the ones you got set up with.
You talk about day 1 of Craven Week. Main game, Bulls, Lions. An interesting game because you look at the Lions. It's been a toughish year for the Joburg schools. They're probably you'd say Newtavel's probably in the best side of the year. Elmer Carr's obviously, but they've come along nicely as the years gone by.
I think
it's hard. The Bulls side, you think they're a quietly good side. Same as Free State, because everything all talks is Western Province, KZN.
Yeah.
But Bulls, Free State for me, I don't like going to Craven Week and Free State is under the radar. I don't like going to Craven Week no way.
So last year, for the first time in 11 years, Free State got themselves back into the main game of Craven Week. But if you go look through history, they've got a 65% plus winning record at Craven Week. They've got one of the best Craven Week records in the country. They've got as much, if not more, SA schools players than other parts of the country. So, they play SWD on day 1, and which is almost a rematch, Grey College versus Oakdale. You add a few of the Otaniqua speedsters, and you get a sort of a grudge match.
And Oakdale still feels that.
Yes, they feel like
they could have won that game.
Yeah, they lost 25-10 in Bloem very early in the season, but they've gotten better. They've got Kai Pratt, they've got Reinhard Viljoen, they've got De Villiers, the younger brother of Paul De Villiers, as an 8th man, 17-year-old. They've got the behemoth, Dion Augustyn. That he's a man mountain. So Free State knows they've got their work cut out for them. Bobby Joubert, Grey's director of rugby, is the head coach of the Craven Week side, along with Corneille Erasmus. So they know they've got their work cut out for them. Battle. Yeah.
And a few years for Free State, they've lost that opening game. A couple of years ago, they lost to EP when the world learned to obviously what about what game he was.
Yeah.
When he had his breakout point.
Crowning moment.
And you look at someone like Reinhard Viljoen. We speak about CI. We speak about Lionel Mgirezi. That Reinhard Viljoen.
He can play.
He can play rugby.
He can play. So for me, the key battles in that SWD Free State game, we didn't even mention. One of the 4 number 12s in South African schoolboy rugby this year is Ozzy Foster from Oakdale. He's big, he's powerful, he distributes well. So he'll be playing in the 12 channel. One channel wider, we'll have the tank for Free State, Ethan Adams. Then you'll have Mgadesi versus Viljoen. You'll have Augustine versus Arya Meyer. We're speaking SA Schools candidates here. So it's going to be, for me, that's the game I'm looking forward to on day one. Bulls versus Lions, Cooksey, the Bulls, we know what they'll bring. They'll bring structure. They'll bring a good maul. They'll bring an informed Stefan McDonald. They'll bring a general in Ruben Groenewald. So you sort of know what you're going to get. I don't know what the Lions is going to bring. And that's the thing. And
that's the scary part for the Bulls.
I'm not sure. You're thinking of the Jeppy players. You're thinking Talent Setole and Lindelani Nkambule. Oh, what a 13 he is. So he's going to bring excitement. So that's another game that you really look forward to. And then the hosts, we've got the Pumas playing the Limpopo Bulls. So unbeaten last year at Craven Week. And there was
now
lots.
At home. Some of the Middelburg boys are playing the home field.
There's a guy you need to watch out for on that side. Middelburg boy, Matthew Abbey. Oh, he's a class act. He plays at 10. He can play 12 as well. But he's a fantastic baller. So I'm looking forward to seeing him on his home field. And is he the Luan Gilumea of 2025? There's a big call for you. Watch out for Matthew Abbey of the Pumas. I think he's gonna light up Craven Week. He's in familiar circumstances. He's at home. He's got his supporters, support base around him. I think that's gonna be massive. And it's probably, we're gonna take some pics later on that day one, to sort of get the red cap maybe a new destination. But in a nutshell, for me, that's day one. It's the players that we look forward to. And we've got to remember, this week originated from Dr. Daniel Hartman Craven, a man that's almost the godfather of South African rugby in many instances. But it is to select the SA school side. Yes, with the early player development program and things like that, I think a lot of the ideas are already formed and who's going to be part of the SA Under 18 setup for the international series. But this is where the guys can stake a claim.
This is where the guys stake a claim. But before we go to the break, I need you to see if you can sing one solid.
One solid.
Right. Before we go to the break.
Quite a lot of pressure when you have to play with a camera on you. It's a little bit different. But
that's why I backed you.
Thank you.
That's why I backed you. But we'll be back after this break. We'll break down day 2 of the Craven Week.
We were lost for 3 days. I told him to ration the water, but he somehow went and drank every last drop in the first hour. I have a family.
We urge the public to remain calm. There is no leak. However, we have identified a thirsty individual who's responsible for this water crisis in the Western Cape.
You almost left Brackenfell for Waterkloof just because of the name. Almost.
Jason, is this true?
Yeah, that's true. I am thirsty.
Je komt mee boksen. Kibbies? Anna? Maar waar is die Anna?
Hey, hey, hey! Ik kom niet boksen, ik kom niet boksen.
for me the box.
Okay, sure. The courier guy, the courier behind the box.
Can you deliver something for me?
Where to?
Hey, wait for me. Hey, wait for me. Put this one in the Springs box.
Look at man. Hey, winner.
Welcome back to Rugby on 216, proudly brought to you by Thirsty. We're in the middle of a game to sort out the red cap, but luckily we'll have some picks to make later as well. But let's have this is for the red cap for 10 minutes. All right, so it's a very important game. You've got one stripe down, I've got one solid down. We've got day one of Craven week digested, and let's move on to day two. You know, there's a couple of interesting matchups. Obviously, the most interesting one and the one that most eyes will be on is the battle of the neighbours, Western Province and Boland. And it's one of those where the younger brother or the smaller brother always tries and upsets Western Province and sometimes do get under their skins a bit and sort of spoil the party in a sense. But obviously that Western Province side is star-laden, isn't it?
Star-laden is put it. But the funny thing about Craven week is if there's ever going to be an upset, it's on day one. It's having the first game up, you know, trying different combinations, first time the guys. I know yes, I've played some warm-up games, but again, there's pressure on. You know?
Yeah.
The bright lights are on. And if you look at Boland, from like, it's so funny, like look at like Boland Landbouw against Paul Rose, almost game which they should have won the field.
Yes.
You never know those Boland styles would happen. If they rock up on the day, they could cause a proper upset. And obviously, I think with the Western Province, all eyes on them, the pressure's on them. I mean, their record is incredible. I mean, Clint van Rensburg and the Reigns there, I mean, they've been incredible the last few years. And unfortunately, it's for them, they are the hunted. Everyone's chasing them. And
one of these days, the shot is going to hit.
Yeah.
You know, you can't miss an hunting trip for 5 days in a row. You know, somewhere. I mean, I've seen you. You can miss 5 days in a row, but.
I'm hunting Joe. You even taking the real forms.
So, somewhere a shot's going to hit. Will it be Boland? Maybe not. But somewhere the shot's going to hit. And I've heard a little whisper that Western Province aren't delighted about playing on day two. Because remember, that gives you one less rest day. Because Craven week will go, if you play Monday, you'll play Wednesday. And then only on Saturday again. So you get that extra rest day. If you play the Tuesday, then it means you play Tuesday, Thursday, and get Friday off.
And play Saturday.
You know, so they'll be playing late afternoon on Tuesday, then have to play on Thursday again, which if they beat Boland, they'll play the main game again on Thursday, which means they've got that sort of a 40-hour recovery to Saturday. And apparently they're not thrilled about that. But, you know, you can't get everything your way.
Part of me is obviously, as you know, they do say unofficial, unofficial winners. There's nothing unofficial about it.
No.
In terms of the coaches and the players, there's nothing unofficial about it. So you think they'll want to have, obviously, the advantage. But day two is so interesting because, obviously, all eyes lead to day four.
Yeah.
You know, the Sharks taking on the mighty Eastern Province. But you know me, I'm a proud Eastern Cape boy. Proud fan of EP. I've worn the jersey. I'm worried.
Yeah,
I'm worried for our boys. And I think all the fans are probably thinking day four, Province, Sharks.
Yeah.
That's the big one. We picked the Sharks, obviously, to go all the way and win then official Craven week, the title. If there's ever a year split for the Sharks to win, I think it's this year. They've come close the last 2 years. Should have won the game last year. Tim Orchard's probably still can't sleep right now. After that game on day one last year at Mona's. Probably still hasn't got to Mona's Paxton's.
The Sharks and Zikatello Siyaya is on everybody's lips. You know, the way they pick their Craven week side, remember, the Academy week, by the way, is running simultaneously in Middelburg as well. But the Sharks send the under-17 side to Academy week. So a lot of these boys, it'll be the second year in a row that they play with each other. And I think that's a masterstroke. I think that's very clever. because you sort of know a lot about your combinations already when the year starts and training for Craven Week starts. So, yeah, I still feel comfortable, believe it or not, with the pick we made. I just have that feeling that this Sharks side is going to be really, really good. I think they'll take care of Eastern Province on day one. I'm sorry to say that. Cooksey, I know you live and breathe Eastern Cape, but I think the Sharks will be too good. But for them, it'll be that build up into to day 4. But now here's the trick for a coach. And this is where it gets tricky, and this is where Eastern Province beat Free State a couple of years ago on day 1. You've got 23 players. Everybody at the end of the second match needs to have played 1 full game. All right? That's a rule. You can't get past that. So does the Sharks now take a chance against Eastern Province?
Oh.
And that brings Eastern Province back into it. But
don't give me hope.
I think just try and get a stripe down there for us, Cooksey.
Don't give a man hope. That's all he needs. Is it?
Oh, yeah, you see the pressure already.
The thing is, I think with the Sharks side, I think obviously the biggest thing for them now is the expectations will be massive. You know, obviously you've got a Westville side that's unbeaten. You've got a college side that's getting better and better. You've got Hilton who's been good. You've got a DHS side. So now all the guys come together and great coaching stuff. You know, Dusty Noble, head leaving. You've got Zani Erasmus who's going from head coach at Westville to the Bio, but also adding value there as well. I mean, a great staff they have there. So the biggest thing for them is they've come close 2 years in a row against Western Province. Is this the year they get it right? But again, we talk about EP. Problem with EP, whenever you think they get in the Craven Week, a couple of years ago in that freestyle, everyone's like, you know what? In George, we don't know. Bottle Carter becomes a superstar.
Yes.
And then it's interesting. But day 2, I mean, I think all roads, obviously, I think for people, all roads lead to. That's a clash people want.
And a very interesting clash for me on day 2 is the Falcon and the Leopards.
Yeah.
You know, it's 2 similar unions, similar in size, similar in the sort of schools that they bring to the table. You know, it's a battle of the smaller unions, but I like these fixtures.
Yeah.
Let me put it that way. I love the fact that they're playing each other. You know, it's Western Province Boland. We've got the neighbour battle. We've got a coastal derby in the Sharks versus Eastern Province. Then we've got
the mighty Eastern Province, please.
Yes, the mighty Eastern Province, and then we've got the Falcon and the Leopards. But a real interesting game for me on day 2, Cooksey, is Falcon versus Leopards, because it's like-minded unions. They're similar in size. You know, on the Leopard side, you've got Rustenburg, you've got Lichtenburg. You know, you've got big schools, big in numbers. You know, Rustenburg, people don't always realize that. It's one of the biggest schools in South Africa. It's a massive school. You know, Naas Olivier runs the program over there. So, you know, and then you've got the Falke. They're always heavy with E.G. Janssen boys, tough boys.
They're playing good rugby at the moment.
Yes, and after a shaky start to the season, they've gotten better and better. You know, they've picked up a couple of wins over Pretoria schools in the last few weeks. So they'll have a bit of confidence all of a sudden. So that's a great matchup. And then your other Eastern Cape side, Cooksey, they go up against the Costa.
Don't say my other Eastern Cape side. I'm from Eastern Province. There's no other. This is the rivalry stuff.
Okay. Your great rivals.
Last year we had Eastern Province taking on border. It's massive, and it's huge. I mean, like my mates say, we live in East London. We don't talk on that day, but. The border side is interesting. If you look at, I mean, obviously the cricket side is really strong. The most from Demand Felt, we know the cup, but the border one's interesting because it's stacked with Queenians.
Yes.
And Queens obviously have been fantastic down in the Eastern Cape as a whole. But you got the likes of Selborne, some of the boys. We've had a tough year, and a few Dalians there who are obviously as dangerous as always. But it's interesting for border because again, I think border and Eastern Cape and Eastern Province are the same because. You never know what's going to happen until Craven. Again, because there's been great border sides that have sort of gone on to Craven. You think, oh, this is the year they'll do well. And they don't. You look at 2012, for example, that border side that went there. An exciting side that came to Port Elizabeth that no one thought would do well. And someone like Aquinas who makes the Eastern School side from nowhere. And they go, they win 3 games. So now, so with Borders also, it's
Yeah,
give and take. But against, it's a good start against Crickets. I mean,
once again, very similar. But I do think Griquas is going to be a good side this year.
Yeah.
You know, they've got the nucleus of that powerful Diamantfeld outfit, but then you add the skill of the Uppington men and the Danefeld guys as well. You know, will be a few tough players and lots of skills and pace from the men from Uppington Hoërskool who got one over Danefeld earlier this year. So that's going to be a very interesting day as a whole. If you look at the quality of the 2 days, very well spread. So I think the fixturing very good for day 1 and day 2, and obviously you work on seedings as well from the previous years, and you know, it's sort of the way I see it. Province, Sharks. It's a flip of the coin for me between SWD and the Cheetahs on day 1.
you talk about flip of the coins. We're going to make picks, eh?
We're going to make picks, but let me just get rid of one more solid here on the table. Not giving me much here, Cooksy. Not giving me much. But I'm used to that. I've spent a lot of time in the studio with you. Oh, that's just unfair.
Let's talk picks. Day 1, we've got SVD. No, let's start with the host. The host. Pumas and Blue Bulls.
Pumas.
They both were Pumas.
Yeah.
And we got SVD, Free State.
Oh, this yeah, you know, it's almost like asking me to pick Grey College versus Affies. You know, it's or Grey College versus Oakdale. I'm gonna go. I was privileged enough to be at their capping ceremony the other night. I'm gonna go Cheetahs by a whisker.
I am SVD.
That's it. We've got to differ at times. So there's a red cap up for grabs, and then we got to decide between Bulls Lions. Ooh, Bulls.
I think Bulls slightly stronger. Just I don't know. Affie side and obviously Gasfontein. I just don't know what we're going to get from the Lions.
Yeah, I'm going Bulls just because of the familiarity. First of all, I think there's talented players in the setup for the Lions, but I think they spread too wide.
Yeah.
They're from too many different schools to find the combinations in time.
Yeah.
You know, at Craven Week. Affie's a nucleus of the side. Bulls. Bulls with 7 to 10.
And then day 2, we got Sharks, Eastern Province.
Sharks.
Yeah, Sharks. It's tough to go against the mighty EP. And then Western Province border.
Western Province.
Or Western Province as well. So we all we both in agreement except for one game.
You know, the thing is,
I don't like picking against Free State. I'm sure Bobby. Bobby should be thinks I don't like Free State. I don't like him.
But it's becoming.
It's not Bobby. It's not personal.
It's becoming apparent that it is, Bobby. I don't know what you did to Cooks because he went against you. Remember, Bobby, when he went against you with Grey College Affies, but he's a slow learner. You know, there's an element here of not learning your lesson, but it is a very tough one to call. You know, if SWD get their connections, you know, between Oakdale and Outeniqua, right, you know, they'll be a serious force. I just think for Free State, always their biggest advantage is the familiarity. You know, they've got 18 boys from the same side.
The last couple of years, when's the best time to play Free State?
Day 1.
Day 1.
Definitely. So I can see you going for SWD, but I'm really, really looking forward to getting the red cap back because of that choice you made. I'm very comfortable that the other 3 results will go the way that we picked them. I've always felt that I look good in red. So I'm looking forward to that.
I went to Lords and back and I still got the red cap, so you got to fix something. But listen, before we go to the break, massive interview. The guys will kick prize after this, but let me at least think this first. Oh, that's poor from Quincy.
Yeah, that was very nearly you missed the
almost
ball
missed
there.
it.
It's like you're going to miss that pick. But there's just one very, very interesting thing that I want to mention. So about Craven Week players and how many different schools have produced. You know, I've sort of looked into that the last couple of weeks, and it's been amazing. And perhaps sometimes Free State's biggest advantage becomes their biggest disadvantage. You know, most of the top Craven Week producing schools have produced about 150 or at best 200 Craven Week players. Great College has produced 506. So their biggest blessing sometimes becomes their biggest curse, because you've got a very dominant school in a province. So 18 of them will go to Craven Week. But if you take the Western Province side, they've got 12 quality sides, 14, 15 quality sides to pick out of. Paul Gim, who beat Great College, has 2 or 3 players going to Craven.
And Paul Boys also beat Great
Yes,
College.
and Paul Boys.
Don't forget that part.
Beat Great College. You know,
Add that as well.
Yeah, you know, add
as
that.
well.
And I guess...
For context, I don't want some viewers may not have missed it. I want them to be part of the show.
I guess because of the feud you and Bobby is having, you probably picked against Great College in both of those as well. So
Don't stop the feud with Bobby.
you're going to get some calls, mate. You're going to have Bloemfontein on you.
I'm going to avoid Bobby in Middelburg like I'm playing.
We were lost for 3 days. I told him to ration the water, but he somehow went and drank every last drop in the first hour. I have a family.
We urge the public to remain calm. There is no leak. However, we have identified a thirsty individual who's responsible for this water crisis in the Western Cape.
He almost left Brackenfell for Waterkloof just because of the name. Almost.
Jason, is this true?
Yeah, that's true. I am thirsty.
Sure. Sure. You sure? Sure. Sure. Sure.
Yeah, man, you sure?
Yes, I am sure. Look at this thing. It's presidential. What if we get caught, man? Nobody gets caught in South Africa, man.
That's true.
Now lift. I'm sure.
Don't just be sure. Be sure. King Price ain't sure. Insurance you can be sure about. Visit kingprice.co.za.
Welcome back to Rugby on 216, brought to you by Thirsty. So, by the way, like, I'm loving the back and forth we have between us, you know, 10 and 12, eh? 10 and 12.
You know, it's that combination, you know, I go hard at the line, and then you come
on now.
Against the grain. Against the grain.
And
Just a little one.
We'll swap it around.
Yeah.
Again,
and then you go flat, I'll come on the run around.
Yeah, look at us, like, with Alex gone,
it's
sharing hosting duties, but it is time for the Jersey of the Week, brought to you by Old School. I mean, last week at the King Price, the King Price jersey, I got mine as well.
Yeah,
and we're at the officers. I mean, it just makes sense. I mean, it's been incredible. I mean, you know, I've been part of quite a few of King Price Derby series. You've been in the commentary booth. I've been down there fighting, working.
Yeah, I mean that's the one thing nobody can take away from you. I mean, you do graft, eh? no, you do graft, eh? So look, I've got the easy part. You know, you just walk up and talk rugby, and it's been such wonderful rugby. So it's just fair that we wear the King Price jersey, and we're also joined by Devet, who obviously graciously handed us 2 of these jerseys. He's the marketing brain behind this palace that we're sitting in. And
It's his fault that the pool tables won.
yeah, definitely. I mean, you saw when you went at that stripe on the long shot, you know. It was, that was very nearly missed. that would have been my favorite moment of the year if you went and missed that completely.
I tried my best to.
Devet, welcome. Thanks for joining us. And then obviously also, the man with that name, Kanti, Lomzi Nessie, or Nessie, as he likes to be known.
Trouble, the kicks are coming.
It's coming. It's still coming at the wrong places, but it's coming. And Nessie's from ProVantage, and they started this whole thing and brought the concept to the vet.
I mean, you guys are ProVantage. You mentioned you approached King Price with this idea, but for you guys, like, what made you want to be part of schoolboy rugby and go to King Price and say, guys, here's this idea? Because it does feel like now King Price Derby is part of the furniture. It feels the Derby series feels like it feels like it's just fitting in so nicely.
But I promise you, it feels like this is how it's always been. And it's
100%.
a few months.
100%.
And I can't think back to how it was before.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, thanks for that, Cooks. For me, the vision was always the case that South Africa is a unique country. Like, I mean, if you look at it from a global perspective, how many countries there are, we always stand out. Like, something about us, something in the water about South Africans. We're resilient. We come up with great ideas. We've been at the forefront in medicine and all these sort of things. Like, there's something about this country. And if you look at our schoolboy rugby, we're the best in the world. I don't think anyone can argue. When you look at the number of professional players we churn out, the audiences that we get at our matches. But I just felt like we didn't celebrate it. We didn't hold it like the way Americans talk about college sport, that everyone knows, okay, they do college sport like no one else does. It's like, we should make this thing a household name around the world, that if you had someone from Asia who loves rugby, one of the pilgrimages should be to come to South Africa and witness the schoolboy game. People in the UK will talk about Grey and the factory that is Grey. People talk about the inter-schools that is the biggest game in the world. But I was like, this is not collectively celebrated by South Africans. And so when we started putting it together, we said we wanted to build something that 5 to 10 years from now, when people talk about what to visit, what to do in the world of sports, you must go see schoolboy rugby in South Africa. And I think within a year, when we came to Devet, we didn't even have a presentation ready at that time. We came to Devet and just told him this dream. And I think King Price was one of those brands who are built on that innovation, built on that celebration of South African and what we have as a people. They could immediately see that vision and said, guys, we'll support this thing. We can see it's got legs and we want to be part of it. And as Put says, it now feels, you're 6 months in and it feels like, it's always been like this, And I think it will only grow, Cooks. And I've seen you guys around the games and you're seeing the audiences. This is only going to go from strength to strength to a point where I say that the holy grail is when the president stands up and says, my prediction for this weekend is this school will take this school.
The president or Rassi.
Yeah.
So, they're probably the same at the moment. We spoke about this, David, and yes, we spoke about this. What's made the King Price Derby series so special for me? It's not just, the great colleges, the big schools. It's,
That's the game changer.
I turned the channel on. It's Nico Milan versus Marlon. I'm from the Eastern Cape. It feels like home. A couple weeks we have Charlie Hoffmeyer versus Roberts. That's amazing. Those are what makes it so special, because it's not just the top 10
the heavyweights.
It's for everybody, and it just makes it relatable.
My English sometimes does reach its limit. It's like, but my moment of epiphany was commentating on Saint Stithians versus St. John's.
Yeah.
And realizing, my word, what a game. And was it not for the King Price Derby series, it would not have been televised.
Yeah.
And that was the moment where I realized we're onto something here.
Yeah.
We've done something right. But you made me think about something, talking about innovation and so forth. Your culture at King Price, it's different. It's different than any other insurer I've ever walked into, because you're fearful to go to insurance
corporate
companies.
offices,
I'm that kind of guy. I'm always in a jean, and jean is like, it's formal for me. I'm usually in tracksuit pants or whatever, but it just feels like I'll be able to walk in and come do business.
Spit, you're 100% right. So culture is really important to us. We believe culture is what makes you go to work. So we believe people must have fun at work. If you have fun at work, you're more productive, you service our clients better, And happy staff equals happy clients. So that's what we believe in, and we want to make it as fun as possible for them.
That actually brings me to one of the prizes. What I love about Tibet and them is when we talk to sponsors about what activations to do on match day. Sometimes a sponsor will try to do an activation related to their core business, but it doesn't fit the day. You got 20,000 people, and you sort of say you want to add to the fun. And I want to let Tibet touch on it, because when they came up with this idea, I was like, they get it, man. They get it. I don't know if you want to...
Yeah, yes. Nancy, so we always said, the schools, they're full of tradition and that, and we don't want to scare them in the first year, so we have to go a bit slow. Next year's like, here we go. But I mean, we respect that, and the schools have been phenomenal accepting us this year. There's 3 things that we want to achieve at these schools. Obviously, getting the brand out there it's easy, and people have to interact with the brand. But it's this year we gave away 3,000 rugby balls, handed it out to schools. We've got a professional photographer that goes to some of these games, and the parents can go and download it for free. There's no expense to it, and he takes amazing pictures. So it's on the King Prize Derby series. You can go on there and watch it. And then we've got the cap. That's that's the King of the Match caps. We've numbered them, so they numbered from this year's 1 to 55. There's 55 games this year, but they'll carry on next year. And years from now, when you're sitting at a bar and having a drink, you can brag about number 4. You were the number 4 man of the match, or king of the match, or you can, when you Springbok one day, you can bring it out and say, I was a king of the match.
Amazing. How many players will have that story of saying there's only 55 in the country? Of all the schoolboy rugby games that we watch and we look at every weekend, there'll only be 55 players who have this cap in year 1.
Well, some of them, like you look at someone like Steve McDonald, I think it's like every King Prize dog.
He's going to have a collection one day.
You can't be 244. But like, Nessie, we know your passion and your proponent for schoolboy rugby, and we've seen the numbers that have come into all these derbies all over the country. For you guys now, where to from here? Because we know the next few weeks, it's massive, as we see with Craven week, but we know all roads lead to Paul. Number 1 and 2. But you got next to the Cholo, but there's still massive derbies for school. But for you guys as a whole now, where to from here? It's 55 games and...
It's a great point, Cooks. My love for rugby started in the Eastern Cape days when I was watching that amazing grey side that had Nicholas Ward, Olusi Samafu. Then there was the Kerwin Frieslers and whatnot. But all these guys, I had to physically go to Grey to go and watch.
Don't forget, Kerwin Frieslers, they beat Grey College.
Did they?
That amazing side. That amazing side. 2004.
My job is to make sure...
I didn't know he's been watching rugby since the 1800s. I thought that was the last time that something like that happened. But anyway.
But and my love for schoolboy rugby wasn't debating with guys who were the greatest players and all of that. But we really wanted to make rugby accessible. I want a kid anywhere in this country to be able to say, I watched Ethan Adams and I had access to him and I was able to see him, and Marcus Muller. And I think the goal for me, Cooks, we've got this partnership with SABC Plus. We've got this partnership with SuperSport schools. Where in everything we do, we're marketing and letting parents know that you can watch these incredible schools, and it's all about, from SuperSport schools, it's not behind a paywall. You just need an email address and you can stream these matches on SABC Plus, and making rugby more accessible to people that I can see there's going to be parents who are saying, I was going to send my kid to this school, but I watched the school on television and they've changed my mind. I look at the spirit of the boys, I look at how they carry themselves, I look at the mannerisms, and that's how we democratize sports and that's how we grow it. And I think that's why the future of South African rugby and the future of our people and bringing them together and celebrating what we have lies in making all of this accessible. And I think that's where success is.
You talk about being accessible. Do you know what's funny now? On TikTok, kids obviously, SuperSport schools, they play clips, and sometimes they're always scrolling, and you look at kids predicting their own SS school lineup. But you look at the clips of you see King Prize Derby in the middle.
No, for sure.
And they're getting these games, and there's access, and because these derbies are available, and also there's more knowledge of players.
100%.
Because people are sitting at home, where there's a kid or a parent and going, oh yeah, I do know certain players. I saw them playing on the weekend. I was watching them. And guys can pull clips, which makes it amazing for me.
Yeah, but Cooks, it's exactly that. We want to make it more accessible. I've watched probably the most schoolboy rugby in my life this year, but just the quality of rugby, and the gears at the stadiums, the parents that support and all of that. So the passion at the schools is what's driven us and what makes us excited as a brand.
And what I love about King Price, it was never just about the big schools and these big games. It was about, guys, how do we make this as inclusive as possible? And we went to as far as schools in Uppington and schools in southwestern districts to make sure we include every region in the country. And now to have schools that are completely unknown saying, guys, we would love to be, it's aspirational, and we almost like, how do we find a way to get maybe 56 games next year just to give these schools that aren't?
And that's a dream.
I just think about all the success stories, you know, all the guys, the Sia Kulisis of the world, and you know, at schoolboy level, the Ethan Adamses of this world, you know, man from Karedo in the Eastern Cape. You know, he had an opportunity. He's sort of on the big stage. He's only 18 years old. He's going to the Lions. You know, they're speaking about him as a guy that's going to play URC rugby at 19 or 20. And it's because of exposure. It's because of largely of this product as well. And that's the beauty to me. And David, I want to thank you guys. I think what you're doing for school sports and school rugby, for that matter, in South Africa at this stage it's unparalleled. It's never happened. The investment you made, such a large investment in schoolboy rugby in South Africa, has never been made. As far as I know, Nessie, you'll know better.
It is the biggest it is the biggest investment in schools sports as a whole that's ever been done in South Africa. It was an incredible deal. And it took a while for David to also get it through his systems. But when we got the call from him to say, and my colleague Bayers got the call from David when he had structured the deal and got it over the line, we were so ecstatic. And I remember calling David saying, in life we all have a calling and what your passion and what your calling is. And I said, I believe this is mine. And he gave us an opportunity to put together something that I think will outlast all of us here. We'll sit 50 years from now when we get invited to the biggest game of the season, and it's now moved to a bigger stadium or whatever it might be. And we'll sit and say, this started off in a year where people had a vision and a dream, and we came together and we made it happen. And I also just want to thank SuperSport Schools and you guys. I mean, when we talk about opportunities, yes, there's the guys who go on to play SA Rugby, but for me, it's the 900 or other matriculants in that year who are part of the band and the singing on the day, the cheerleaders, the guys playing seconds, the guys doing the videography, it's all of those guys getting the skill sets, getting the exposure, having to be fun of these epic days that I watched at St. Andrews at K-Day. They brought out the bagpipes. And I can imagine doing that and your parents are there. And, like, you're as proud as the guy playing first team. And so to me, it's the fact that we're creating these opportunities, not just for the rugby player. That's just the cake. I think that's what the cherry on top of the cake. The rest of the matric group in the school who are getting that opportunity to showcase themselves, I think it's special what we're allowing and we're doing here.
Cooksy, I think we're going to get served lunch, yeah? King Price has their own little restaurant, massive restaurant, but you know, it's amazing to have been here. It's eye-opening to have been here, David. Thank you very much for opening your offices. Thank you very much for showing us your pool tables need a little bit of adjusting for Cooksy. And Ness, thank you very much. Thank you for investing into schools rugby. It's absolutely wonderful to see where it's going. I think there's no limits. When it comes to South African schoolboy rugby, there literally is no limits currently. When it comes to South African rugby, for that matter, Cooksy, there's no limits. I mean, are we going to still see you next to some school rugby fields this year?
Of course you will, Spuddy. You still going to take me to Grey? You haven't taken me to Grey.
What will Bobby allow me?
That ship has sailed. Look,
Stop starting this view, Bobby.
Bobby has sent me a text while we were off air saying that guy on the show with you doesn't even mention your name anymore. He's just like, he's not welcome here anymore.
So I guess my dream of going to Grey is a dream.
You can go to Grey, but to Grey High at PE. David, we've spoken about a lot of things, but what we haven't spoken about is Mauritius. I've never been there. You know, you went to Lords. Can I go to Mauritius, please?
Take Alex with you.
Take us through that. And how did that come about? I mean, it's an amazing prize.
Yes, but so, I mean, it's quite easy. You can also join. I don't think there's T's and C's around that. Only thing you have to do is get a quote to enter. I think on the screen there will be a QR code, or go to King Price Derby Series or to our social medias and enter there. Every quote you do gives you an entry. It's a week's going to Mauritius, 250,000 rands worth of prize, all inclusive, 4-star. It's for 4 people, so if you don't want to go with your parents, you can take your friends.
I'll take Bobby.
Yeah, you can. You're going to have to take Bobby.
I'm taking Bobby.
So yes, you can get a quote. You might win a trip, or you can save on your insurance.
It's tough. Obviously, that now sort of disqualifies the two of us because we don't need insurance quotes anymore. So we can't go to Mauritius, but it's all right. We'll send Bobby.
Yeah, we'll send Bobby as a peace offering. It's the third time I'm going to give a peace offering. I think that's how we'll do it.
Ness, thank you so much for joining us. You are the brains behind this product. Congratulations, and there's no limits, and may we continue to grow with you, and thank you very much for the work that you're doing. Davet, thank you for bringing us into your sanctuary, for letting Cook show South Africa he's not the best pool player. We're going to have lunch here now as well, so absolutely amazing. And that's all we have tonight on Rugby on 216. Of course, brought to you proudly by Thirsty. Myself and Cooks will be at Craven Week next week, watching the best in South Africa do their business.
And what does Alex say? But for now, bye-bye.